When I was 17, I applied for a job in a new cinema that was new to my city. There was a lot of hype about it as it was a well-known brand and known for being in the upper league of the cinemas. I popped along to the interview and to my surprise got a job as a cinema host. My duties involved serving guests, selling tickets, cleaning screens and toilets. Basically a bit of everything. I'm a movie nerd. I couldn't wait to start. This cinema was part of massive regeneration of the city and was welcomed by the whole country for creating new job opportunities. Now, where this new complex and shopping mall was built had a bit of history to it. Way back in the days, this plot of land is where public hanging used to happen for convicted thieves and convicts, some as young as 9 or 10 years old. In fact, it wasn't until late 90s and early 20s was the hanging location permanently banned and replaced with some modern metal sculptures. When I say the location was removed, it was a kind of circular platform that was locally called the bandstand. After the bodies were hanged, according to the history, they were then wheeled a short walk away and dumped. This is what the cinema and shopping complex was built over. Now you know a little bit about it. In each cinema screen, there was a night vision CCTV camera installed. This was useful for teens misbehaving mainly. The cleaners used to be the first one in the building each morning before us cinema staff would come in. One morning, I came in for my shift and few of the cleaners were sitting around the confectionery table trying to calm one of the female cleaners down. She seemed really upset about something and I assumed perhaps a death in the family. I didn't want to intrude, so I went to start opening my popcorn bins. One of them said to the other something along, "She isn't lying, she's telling truth. I've seen it too." This woman was deeply shaken. I mean, she looked like she saw a ghost, as us humans would put it in. Little did I know, she literally did. Long story short, it all came out that this cleaner had witnessed a ghost in one of the biggest of the 12 screens. She claims she was cleaning the stairs and when she looked up, she saw a man sitting in one of the chairs. But she knew that wasn't real. As the story goes, she quickly fled the screen and ran to the other cleaners crying. I don't blame her. Myself and other staff members thought it would be a good idea to rewind the CCTV from the screen and see if we could see anything odd. As we did watch her cleaning the steps with a brush and a pan, then you could see her slightly look up at the middle seats, freeze and fixated on something for around 5 seconds, then drop her brush and ran out of the screen. This was incredible to see the CCTV sort of mist in the area she was staring at. Me being me, put it down to dust. Maybe a glitch in the screen spotlight, but this domestic cleaner was certain that there was a man sitting in the screens by himself. The story quickly spread around the cinema to the point our management team pulled us all in and told us we need to stop talking about it and that what happened was a trick of an eye. We didn't dare tell our manager we checked the CCTV as we know it's not to be used for nosiness purpose. Little stories from here and there would casually pop up from time to time. The next one was one of the male staff member who worked up in a projection room came down running in the confectionery area one evening and swore someone pushed him deeply in his back when he was setting up a reel. He was badly shaken and quite the macho man who used to laugh at us for getting scared of being in a certain screen by himself. He was in the projection room by himself, so there was no explanation for what he felt. I recall seeing management bring him into the office and around 20 minutes later he left and didn't come back to finish his shift. A few days after that, we were told he wouldn't be working in projection anymore and instead would become an usher. We were shocked as the pay was a lot less and that's what he did. Someone asked him what on earth happened and he refused to talk about it. Rumor has that his back was bruised from this firm push, but I cannot confirm nor deny that as I never seen it. The cinema was bright and flashy. When it was bustling with guests, it never had a negative vibe, or maybe we were just too busy to notice it. However, the staff-only areas had a different feeling to them, and when the guests would leave, the entire place had a different impact on you. It would feel cold, and you ever get that feeling that anyone could jump on you at any point. So, you're always kinda on the edge. I would get goosebumps in the areas that weren't cold, shivers in the screens as if someone was brushing past me. I would just keep playing it off as other possibilities, which is what I'm good at doing. One night, I was closing with 7 other team members. I was a team leader at this point, hence it was my responsibility to close them. It was around 12 a.m. and I gathered the staff members outside the door while I was locking the main door. Just as I was about to do so, we all heard the loud creaking from one of the public bathroom door. The creak was long, as if someone was slowly opening it. This creaking sound was well known to us, as you constantly hear them open and close with guests using them and kids slamming them. Another team member and I dropped our bags and heading into the ladies' bathroom to check it out, assuming a guest had been left behind and well, or there was a kid messing around. However, a protocol was to check each cinema and public areas before confirming it with management team that the cinema was clear. But then again, mistake happens. We heading into the ladies' bathroom and each of the loo door were closed, apart from the disabled one, larger one at the very end. It was wide open. I called out, "Hello?" but nothing. We both walked down and peered into the cubicle and there was no one. Confused and freaked out, I decided to call the mall security to check the place out for us. Along came 3 security men and they checked everywhere, but nothing, no one. All our staff-only doors were coded, so no one could run out them if they were messing around. The door that was wide open wasn't loose. In fact, it was stiff as hell. There was no draft. Basically, no reason for it to be this long and chilling creaks. We closed up and laughed it off as we all went our separate ways. But that particular chill stuck with me each time I go to the toilet. Other stories from employees I heard but never witnessed. Staff members seeing shadows in the section behind the screens, hearing voices next to them when there was nobody there. Unsettling feelings when doing the fire checks along the fire escape routes and access codes on door buzzing to say the input was wrong, even though no one was trying to use them. About 20 years ago, I lived in an apartment. I would hear knocking on the ceilings quite often. I asked the woman across the hall about it and she replied, "Oh, that's just a spirit. It stops once you move in." A bit after the knocking started, odd things would happen around the apartment. Things would move, windows closed, lights turning off. Well, one night I looked out my bedroom and saw the light from my computer was on in the other room. I went in and the screensaver was off. When I went back to my bed, I laid down on the bed facing the other room to see if it happens again. It wasn't long before I felt something touch my backside. It was a forceful touch. From that time on, I would wake up with 4 scratches on each shoulder, at least once a week. I switched bedrooms. The scratches stopped. But every time I was going to see my boyfriend, my keys would come up missing. I would find them in the oddest place, even though I knew I wouldn't put them in the bathtub, the kitchen cupboard, or my dresser. I brushed it off like I just misplaced them myself. My boyfriend stayed over one night, and in the morning he asked what I had done to him the previous evening. He showed me his back. He had 4 scratches on one side and 1 on the other. It was as if someone grabbed his neck with one hand and scratched him. This was the last time he came over, and I soon found out he was not a good person. I moved out of my apartment into a home with 2 friends. I took the bungalow bedroom. I could hear someone running in the attic every night. It stopped once I put a cross over the door. Other odd things happened. One night, we were going to my aunt's home to get my cousin's Ouija board. I instinctively saw someone in a basement when I was the last one to leave. My roommates also would hear someone walking around my bedroom when I wasn't home. A year later, I moved into my current house. My cousin moved in with me for a little bit. She would always say that she could hear someone walking in my bedroom when nobody was home. Nothing much different than the happenings from my apartment happened until I met my husband. That's when the traditional haunting started. Door closing, things falling, light flickering, brand new light breaking. One night when my husband was away and I was working the night shift, I came home to find my back door wide open and the police pulling up. Someone had used a crowbar to remove window and to rob my home. My neighbor saw them taking things from my home and called the police. Had he not called, I would have walked in on them. Almost exactly 1 year later, someone broke into my home again and brutally murdered my husband. Again, I would have been home, but someone stopped me from going home right then. There has been some small things that have occurred between 2 events and many more since. A car was speeding down the road. It would have hit my home, but it hit a tree and changed its course. 2 dogs were hit by a speeding car in front of my home. The dogs that I currently have was hit by a car. Someone attempted to steal my daughter's car, but the alarm went off right they were in the car. I had a beautiful Doberman that died of cancer when she was only 2 years old. Those are some of the out of the ordinary events that happened in the past 5 years. One or two of these events would be normal, but all of them to the same home in a 5-year span. I am convinced that whatever was in the apartment followed me. However, I don't think that it is malevolent. I think it is protecting me like it did with my boyfriend. What I am convinced of is that there is something very evil in my home. I say this because I would hear very odd sound from outside. One night, my camera sent me a notification that it captured the sound. It sent chill up my spine that I told my children not to let any of the dogs out. I did investigate the area the next day and I could not find any sign of animal. I can't attach the video with the sound, but I was told by a medium that it sounded like a demon. This same medium told me that the next time the light flickers, I should tell it that this is my home and it's not wanted. Shortly after this, my daughter and I were cooking dinner. The lights in the kitchen were flickering for about 20 seconds before going out. I figured they were just burnt out, but I laughed and said, "Can you not? This is my home. Until you pay me rent, you cannot stay here." I then walked into my dining room and the lights came back on. Recently, my son moved out of the home. I have put my dog's food, water, crate and toys in his room. For the past 2 days, my dog refuses to go in there. She used to go in there if he was in there, but now it's to the point that I literally have to take her food out of the room or she will not eat. This happened when my cousin and I were teenagers, probably around 15 and 16 respectively. Many members of my family were staying overnight at a hotel after the wedding of another family member. I was not one of the people staying the night at a hotel, but I had some time to hang out and have fun with my cousin before my parents were coming up to pick me up. We didn't have a lot to do and we tended to be kind of mischievous when we hung out together. So essentially, we decided to walk around different areas of the hotel, exploring and getting snacks. My cousin remembered knocking on the door to random rooms and running away. At one point we noticed a middle-aged man in the same hall as us, who had a tool belt around him. We tried to act normal as soon as we spotted him, but I'm sure we weren't very convincing. From this point, every time we turned a corner and checked behind us, this man would be following us. He never yelled at us or said anything, and he never moved at a pace faster than an average walking speed. But it was extremely clear that he was following wherever we tried to go. It freaked us out a lot because we obviously didn't want to get in trouble. Plus, the dude just had a weird energy with his silent and casual walk. We were panicking pretty hard after a few minutes of this. So, our plan was to get in the elevator and quickly choose a random floor a few levels up so that the guy wouldn't know where we went. When we got into the elevator, he was walking towards us from our left side and was maybe 100 feet down the hall. We got up at least 3 or 4 floors, turned left out of the elevator and start fast walking in that direction. Maybe within 10 seconds of us getting out of the elevator, the same guy around a corner a little way down the hallway is now coming towards us. I distinctly remember saying, "That's not possible," out to my cousin as we were rushing back to the elevator. After that, we actually went to the front desk and told the lady working there that we were being followed, and when we described the guy, she told us he works there. We spent rest of the time hidden in a little nook next to the lobby area where we could stay blocked by a bookshelf. At one point, the tool belt guy came to the lobby and we saw him talking to the lady at the desk before leaving. I was 100% convinced at the time, completely unnatural and not humanly possible. Even if the guy could have gotten to the elevator to see which floor we have gotten to, there absolutely no way I can think that he could have gotten the same floor from either staircase or different elevator in time to be walking at us from the opposite direction that he was coming from before, no more than 10-15 seconds after we've gotten out of the elevator. It's always stuck in my mind as something weird, but over the years I started to write it off as an overactive imagination due to how scared I was in the moment. Then I just saw my cousin when we hung out over New Year's and she brought up the hotel and how the man had been following us through the halls. Once she mentioned it, I started to say that at the time I thought he time traveled an impossible distance in an impossible amount of time while following us. And before I even finished recounting the exact scenario, my cousin was nodding that she remembered it too.